his massive hands wrapped around my neck, and his fingernails dug into my throat. I begged him for oxygen, but I had no voice. I stared up at the man that I loved as I drifted away into unconsciousness. The next morning, I woke up and I made my family breakfast. I packed our lunches, I powdered my face and neck, and I slathered on my favorite red lipstick. On my way to work, I reminded myself, Jamie, suck it up. You got a job to do and a family to support. I arrived to greet my classroom full of eager new hire employees. It was like any other normal day. Now, don't feel sorry for me, because I'm only one out of every 3 women in this country who will experience rape, physical violence, or stalking by our partner. I'm not alone. But you see, this pain led me to my passion. From the moment that I realized the problem, through understanding how I got there, and through the agonizing journey of recovery, I am where I am today, standing on this stage. Not long after that nasty incident, I sought out a therapist. What's wrong with me? And why do I keep ruining all my relationships? She was wise and she was kind, and I trusted her. But not long after revealing more details about my relationship, her tone changed. Are there any weapons in the house? Do you have a safe place to go? Immediately, I became that squirmy little daydreaming girl in church whose granny reaches over and pinches her back into reality. It was a pinch right there on the hard, soft underfat of the arm. She had all of my attention. I got angry and defensive, and then I started defending him. He was just restraining me. I yelled and screamed at him too. And that's when she said something that would change my life forever. I call this my oh shit moment. Jamie, he will move from abusing you to hurting your daughter. Immediately, I stood up and stormed out of her office, slammed the door behind me, never saw her again. But thank God for women who speak the truth we need to hear, because that would be the first day of my single motherhood journey, one that would lead my daughter and I to a brand new life. Now, I never expected to be in this position. In fact, in my mid-20s, I saw myself as the small-town girl, once labeled white trash, who'd made it out. I was the breadwinner for my family. I graduated college. I purchased my first home that wasn't mobile or on wheels. And I was just a hair shy of making a 6-figure income. I knew it all. I had the red bottom shoes and the bag to match, honey. But I would soon realize that I had a lot more to learn, and life was about to teach me. Abuse for me just didn't suddenly happen overnight. For me, it started in childhood. Both my parents were good people. They did the best they could, but both of them were alcoholics. My mother's addiction elevated her mental illness to new heights. I'll never forget, it was just a few weeks before my 15th birthday when my childhood drastically changed. At that age, my life revolved around roller skating. And it played to a soundtrack of Belle Biv DeVoe and Mariah Carey and the Gap Band. My wardrobe, y'all, consisted of Gitano jeans, remember those? And Umbro shorts and jackets and herringbone chains. And I had a head full of freshly moussed, crunchy curls. Well, one frosty morning, instead of sitting out waiting for the school bus, I sat out in the wet grass in my pajamas, squeezing my knees to my chest, crying and shivering, and watching as my mother threw all of my belongings over the porch railing. My CDs, my tapes, my Walkman, my stuffed animals, they all bounced across the ground. You see, just moments before that, my mother was chasing me up and down the hallway of our home, lashing me on the back and the legs with a belt. I had grown sick and tired of being hit, and so I'd finally gotten the courage to tell the truth about what was happening in my home, that my mother was abusing me. Now I was paying the price for that truth. Now, getting kicked out of my home introduced me to Child Protective Services and couch surfing. But as a young woman, it also caused me to become very bitter about my life and suspicious of other people, especially women. I saw them through the warped lens of trauma. I saw them as my mother. And it would go on to affect all of my personal and my professional relationships. Now let's go back to that oh shit moment earlier in my story. Not long after that, my daughter and we packed up and we moved 1,500 miles away from anything familiar. I started my career over making half of what I was used to. Slept on a mattress in the middle of my apartment floor. We lived paycheck to paycheck. Y'all, I was so broke that when I walked by a bank, the alarm would go off. Just saying. But my daughter was no longer pulling her eyelashes out in anxiety, and we were at peace, and I was getting my life back. Still, I had lingering feelings of defeat and unworthiness, shame. And I realized that time just doesn't heal those wounds. Hard work and therapy does. So I did the hard work, returned to therapy, sometimes 3 times a week while teaching class 8 to 10 hours a day through swollen eyes and emotional exhaustion. I wanted to quit so many times, but I just kept telling myself, I got this. I got it. Still, I was reminded that I can't do life alone. And my counselor insisted that I attend a women's recovery group. The thought of it made me itch all over. How am I supposed to fit this in? I barely have time to brush my teeth, I told her. But I did. And night after night, I entered that circle of sisterhood, sometimes just staring at the exit doors and fantasizing about busting out, taking off one of my heels and throwing it at them on the way out. But thank goodness I didn't. Because a year later, these women would become my family. I felt secure and included and appreciated. My wind down Wednesdays, they turned to potluck dinners and movie nights with the sisters. My hot dates, they were now sunrise coffee chats and group journaling. And we kept in touch with each other, kept each other encouraged through group text and phone calls. And through these women, I learned that there is always someone else out there hurting more, working harder, and living on less. I am not the only one. Today, I am a new person. I live out my passion of inspiring hope in other women as a published author and speaker, a master certified life coach, and a female entrepreneur. I am the proud mother of a thriving college girl with big dreams. And I'm a biker mama riding my motorcycle alongside my sexy husband of 8 years. I healed through the transparency and the connection of honest, gritty women. Y'all, I went from a woman whose voice was cut off, to a woman who uses her voice as a successful, unstoppable, empowered force. So let's recover, and let's rise, and let's impact other women on the way up. And let's push through the pain of life together, because it just might lead us to our passion.